So this year, our theme is a conversion to the earth, ecological conversion. And we have designed this year to be a spiral in the sense of beginning, looking at the cosmos, looking at theology and science. And we did that with Sister Delia. And then from there, we went and had a young woman, 33, tune in from Rome, and she was talking about her work with Goodlands, looking at the properties that the Roman Catholic Church owns and how that can be turned around to feed the hungry and do a different kind of environmental, creating life, letting life coming from the land. The third person we had was Katie Hirschach, who you may have seen made the front page of the NCR last week. And she was our speaker on the Laudate Si movement, a professor emeritus or scientist from the University of Arizona. And then last session that we met, we did an interfaith dialogue or relationship with both Karen and Swami Abhikarika, who represent the Southern India faith tradition and their work with the earth. And then today we're having Bucher Symens, who has been a dear friend of mine, and we've known each other since you were in your early or mid-20s. So we'll come to that in a moment. I do want to say something. This is our work to do. When our team decided what should be our theme, we realized this is the work we need to do in terms of our climate crisis. And I just want to point out, we took part of our cue from Laudate Si, and I want to make a comment about the institutional church before I introduce Anne. There was a study that was done by Creighton University 2 years ago, and they wanted to know the US Catholic bishops' relationship to Laudate Si. And they looked at 12,077 columns written by bishops in 171 dioceses from June 2014 to 2019. So it was a year before and 4 years after Laudate Si. And they found out that the bishops effectively ignored the environmental crisis. They were ignored. There were only 93 columns, a mere 0.8%, not 8%, but a 0.8% that mentioned climate change at all. And just 56 mentioned it, quote, in terms that suggest it is real or currently happening. Thus, I say, this is the work that we need to do as women and as persons in the church and part of the planet here. So I want to turn to Anne for a moment. Anne is a local hometown girl. She was born September 17th in 57. And I saw an interview with her. It said, which is significant, she says, in that it's the feast of the stigmata of St. Francis of Assisi. And I love that about me, she said. She grew up in a family of many Franciscans, priests, grew up with many people, many Franciscans writing to her, coming to her. And she said she was also born on the anniversary of the signing of the Constitution. Those two really mark who Anne has become. I first met Anne when she had just founded the Catholic Worker in Oakland. She had been to New York City at the age of 19. She left Holy Names College, if I understand right, to work and went to work with Dorothy Day. She said, I wanted to give my life in the service of the poor. And working with Dorothy Day and going to DC, they were part of a protest in front of the White House, and she began her work in a sense of civil disobedience. Because this is just an introduction to Anne, she can speak much more. But Anne eventually in Oakland became a co-director of the Justice and Peace and Integrity of Creation Project of the Franciscan Friars of Santa Barbara Diocese. And she did that for 25 years, really spearheading many projects for the friars to be about in California and the West Coast. And also, she said she did her first civil disobedience around the Lockheed missile space event, but she said she felt really called to the Nevada test site. and she began the project there, the Nevada Test Site Project. She wrote something that I thought was, or she said something that was really important in terms of today. She said when she was there, she said, at the desert, there was a kind of flavor in those flowers that continued to bloom in the most unexpected places. You know, they were more precious to me than bouquets of roses because of what it took for me to see them. And just being out there several times, actually during underground tests, having been a real experience of being one with the earth and like a conduit for the pain. That kind of image of a conduit has been living in me. That was a conduit that we, not just I, but that we, to get people out there, and this is largely how I started to see my role as an organizer and how we start our ministry as an organization. She said, out there, it was there that I saw the pain of the earth and it could be released through us and the healing back into the earth. I hold it that way, that when we go out there, we are instruments of peace. I'm going to just say two more things because Anne, I met Anne when both of us were yet not married, but when we were married, we were both pregnant at the same time. We were both breastfeeding at the same time. I had 2 children. Anne went on to have 5. She said to me, Jean, I've been pregnant or nursing for 15 years. I think Anne being a mother is so much an identity of who she is, and a mother and a relationship to the earth. Her work then, more recently, the last couple decades, has been working with Joanna Macy, but she's also founded with her husband, Terry, the Canticle Farm in Oakland, which is an urban farm, which is focusing on the great turning, which is the reconnection with the earth and reconnection, creating community across generations, across ethnics, across many groups. In end, I just want to say, in John's letter, he says, that which we have seen, we have felt, we have beheld, we have touched. We need to say this to you. We need to write this to you so our joy may be filled. And I think Anne needs to speak to you, to us, so her joy can be filled, because Anne is definitely not only a peace bringer, but she is a joy maker. Thank you for welcoming Anne. Kind of a soul sister.
Let it begin with deep snow on the granite bounds of the mountains, in ancient uncut forests. Let it begin like a running stream, like a wild, wide open river. May all who hunger now be fed, and may we heal the soil that grows our bread. And let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. Let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. Thank you, Jean, for that beautiful welcome and introduction. It's kind of amazing to have your life reflected back through things you've said and things you've done and things you haven't thought about for a long time. It's my great privilege and delight to be with you this morning on this gorgeous May morning. And I want to just begin by asking to hear your names, and each of you has a candle. So if you would be willing to stand up, we'll just move around the circle and say your name. And then we're going to call your name back to you, so you can hear your name called back, and then turn on that candle. as you say, one thing you would like to protect. And I know there's a million things you'd like to protect, but just pick one thing you would like to protect. Okay, so can we begin with you? Did you get a candle?
I don't have a candle. So my name is Ellen Baker.
Ellen.
Ellen.
I would like to protect the hearts and souls of especially women throughout the world who lack the freedom. My name is Melissa.
Melissa.
And I would like to protect the freedom and build on Ellen's comment, the freedom of women, the strength of women, particularly women in our church.
Jean.
I would like to protect the trees. Yeah, I want to protect the trees that are the birthplace of all of our life that are breathing. Yeah.
Elaine.
I would like to protect democracy. I have democracy in our country, preserve, relish, and in the world.
Gail.
I would like to protect all the places where people live and they're not living.
Linda.
And I'd like to protect my granddaughter so that she could love the earth without you. My name is Susan.
Susan.
And I'd like to protect the ocean.
Maria.
I'd like to protect the rivers. My name is Carla.
Carla.
Oh,
I'd like to protect the birds. Hummingbirds in particular. I'm cold.
My name is Alma Elena,
Alma.
and I'd like to protect human nature as well as the natural world, the nature that we're a part of, and learning. And food.
Peg.
Relative birds. With the other, but I would say earth, our mother earth. Thank you.
Vanessa.
I'd like to protect our ability to see God in each other.
I'm Susan.
Susan.
I'd like to protect children everywhere.
And Susan, can you call on people on the screen?
Yes. Let's see, let's unmute one by one. Karen, why don't you start?
my name is Karen,
Karen.
and I'd like to protect harmony. A sense of harmony and working together, all things working together as one.
Okay. Jerry. Jerry, can you unmute?
Did you hear me?
Yes.
I said I'd like to protect harmony, the sense of appreciation and working together as one. All things working together as one.
Thank you, we heard you.
Okay.
Mary Lou? Mary Lou?
Hello,
Yes.
hi. I'm not sure what to say yet, so I'll wait till later.
Can you,
I'm just gonna listen for now.
Elizabeth?
I think I want to protect the soil.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I don't know who this is. It says iPad. Give your name, please.
Say your name.
Go ahead.
iPad, say your name.
Oh, Pat Davis. Lovely to see everyone there. Good morning. I'd like to protect the bees.
Great. Okay. Mary Tansey? Mary Tansey, do you want to say anything? It's a little bit clunky, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. How about Concha?
I'm Concha, and I'd like to protect the butterflies.
Thank you. Cheryl? Cheryl, would you like to speak? Okay, well,
I'd like to protect the oceans. They give us so much life.
I understand you, but there's something funny about the audio sometimes.
Yeah.
Jim Phelan?
I'm Nancy, and I'd like to protect the beauty of all living things, including humans.
Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
Hi, I'm Andrea, and I'd also like to protect the trees and the interconnectedness and communication they have with each other and their ecosystems and with us.
Thank you. Jeannie?
Hi, I'd like to also protect the children all around the world.
Thank you. Jane Claire?
I'd like to protect, Jane Claire is my name. I'd like to protect the future of our children and our grandchildren.
Okay, Siddiqa?
I'd like to protect the insects and the spiders.
Mary's iPad. Mary, are you there? Okay. Christina, would you like to speak?
Christina, I'd like to protect the waters and the oceans.
Thank you. Hello, Christina. Mary Morrison. Mary? Go ahead, Mary.
Mary Lewerson.
I'd like to protect the elders who give us so much wisdom. May we protect them and honor our elders here at home and abroad.
Thank you. And anyone who didn't get a chance to speak who's on the Zoom, is there anyone else?
Hi,
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to protect the trees, the birds, and the ocean.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for bearing with the, working across the technology. So everyone should have a candle right now that's lit, and it's all of our light together that's going to make a difference. So just go ahead and keep that in your lap and hold on to it. I'm going to introduce the spiral of the work that reconnects that we're going to be moving around today. And I'd like to do this ritually. So Joanna Macy's work, body of work now, is known as the work that reconnects. And working over the years, many years with groups of people, she noticed that there tended to be a movement when people came together to hear their own voices, which are the voices that are most important to hear. Because we're not separate, we are aware and we know about the suffering of all of our kin, whether they be human or from the more than human world. So we carry that around with us, and we need to create spaces where we can hear our own voice, so we can find our power to do what is ours to do in this time that we've chosen to be here on planet Earth. And so when we come together, we're gonna be working a little bit this morning around this spiral, and I'm just going to introduce it to you. So when we come together to do this work, we begin with gratitude. And over here we have a beautiful bouquet of flowers that I picked this morning from our garden. I'm going to turn the light on here and remind us, Joanna Macy reminds us that gratitude does not actually depend on external circumstances. And that's true about hope and a lot of other things, right? We could choose to put our attention there. And so even when things are falling apart, we can be people who choose to be grateful, just to be alive in this moment. Having chosen to be here is a great privilege and a great gift. And we find that when we ground in gratitude, it allows us to go to the next stage of the spiral, which we call honoring our pain for the world. And our pain for the world is not separate from our personal pain. It's all pain that moves through us, whether it's anger and outrage at what's happening to our planet, at what's happening to our people, at what's happening in our church, whether it's fear at what we're facing, especially for future generations. As we know, we're living on a dying planet. As we hear talk of near human extinction, these are things that have never been faced before by people who have lived, no matter what they have suffered and all the challenges they've come through. We're in this particular moment where we as humans have created the conditions to destroy our home and to end our own life here. So we're in this moment and there's feelings rushing through us. And a lot of times that's about grief. So we have these dry leaves here. It can also be about powerlessness and uncertainty and hopelessness and emptiness because we don't know what to do. But we find that when we allow ourselves to be with these feelings, that it's our love that's coming through because we only grieve what we love. And our courage comes through because when we're afraid, we can step into courageous action on behalf of life. And when we're angry and outraged, that's our passion for justice that wants to be lived out in a particular way. And when we don't know what to do and we feel powerless and hopeless, that emptiness can actually make space for something new to emerge that we're not yet ready to step into. We have to sometimes sit in that dark night in order for that stirring to happen. So we find that when we allow ourselves to move with those feelings that are our interconnection, we see with new eyes. So the third phase of the spiral is seeing with new eyes. And here we can reconnect with the cloud of witnesses, those who have gone before us. We know they're still with us. That's part of what we believe as people of faith, is that they're still with us. They have our backs and they want us to be well and they want us to act on behalf of life. And we're also aware of those who are going to come after us and that we have to act now in order for them to actually have a life. So we connect in this part of the spiral with our ancestors, with the future ones, with the more than human world. And we can wake up and kind of realize, we talk about nature, we're going to go out in nature, but really we are nature. So it's a reconnection to understanding our place in the web of life, that we are not separate. So I'm going to pour some water here just to remind us of our connection. after we have the experience of seeing with new eyes, the last phase of the spiral is going forth. And we go forth to act on behalf of life in whatever way we're called to do. And I like to use this candle here, the light, because the light of one single candle, even when we don't have a clue and we don't know what we're supposed to do, and it's the darkest of nights and the dark that we can't see ahead of us, the light of a single candle will help us take the next step. And that's all we're ever asked to do, is just take the next step. So what I want to invite us to do now, you each have a candle, and the spiral, it's not a linear thing. We can actually be in one place and holding all of it. And we move into different places with it. But for now, I want to just invite you to come and walk around these altars, and you can pour some water here. You can experience the flowers, touch the leaves, and wherever you would like to leave your candle that most represents where you are right now, because maybe you came in feeling a lot of pain and you're having a hard time and you'd like to put your candle there, or maybe you're just, you know, in a place of a lot of gratitude flowing through you. Wherever you feel like you'd like to put your candle for this moment, because it'll change, but wherever you are right now. So I'm just going to invite people to just get up and just in silence, move around these altars. Feel free to use your body, because we're in these amazing bodies. And so you can just move around and touch and use your senses. And then when you feel ready, just put your candle down. And then when you're finished with that, you can return to your seats. Okay, so now I'm going to put you into pairs, and we're going to hear our own voices as we move around the spiral. So again, grounding in gratitude. We'll start there. And would everybody just find a partner, and then you can just move your chairs to spread out a little bit so that you can hear in your pair. There's kind of a lot of people over here, maybe spread back. And while you're arranging yourselves, I'm going to give the instructions to the people on Zoom. Your instructions are slightly different. So you're going to be put into chat rooms with one other person. And whoever gets in there first, you are partner A. And partner A, you're going to go first. And you are going to say the 2 sentences that'll be there in the chat. You'll repeat the sentence, you'll read it, and then you'll just keep talking. And partner B, you will be listening to partner A. This is not a conversation. One person speaks and the other person listens. And then partner A, after you've done both the sentences, that'll take 4 minutes. Karen is going to give you a warning to switch, and then partner B, you will do the 2 sentences while partner A listens. Are there any questions from the Zoom? And the 2 questions the 2 sentences, open sentences will be in the chat for you. Okay, so go ahead and go into those rooms. And then for the rest of you, does everyone have a partner? Okay, and you want to stand?
That's okay. If there's an odd number of people, just do it. I'll keep doing this. It's okay.
We can take one more.
It actually doesn't work
It doesn't
to
work.
have
It's
a
okay. It's
Dan
okay.
and I said
Yeah.
with the odd number, what if you come over here? Maybe Vanessa or.
No, we're good. It's the.
They want to be together. Yeah.
Why don't? Sure, I can take this. And I'll.
Great, thank you. Okay, so in your pairs right now, whoever has the shorter hair, your partner A. Raise your hand. Okay, and partner A, your instructions are slightly different from what I just said to the Zoom people. So what's going to happen here is partner A, you're going to speak. I'm going to give you a sentence. You're going to finish it. Partner B, you're
Let
listening.
me just tell.
It's not a conversation. So partner B is listening with full attention, one of the biggest gifts we can give each other. And then I'll ring the bell. When I ring the bell, just finish your sentence. And then I will be guiding you. Partner B, it'll be your turn. So just follow my prompts. The main thing to know is partner A is going to, raise your hand if you're partner A. There should be one in every pair. Okay, great. And I will be guiding you. When I ring the bell, just finish your sentence. And here we go. All right. Jean, you want to come over here? So partner A, here's your sentence. You're going to say it and then just keep speaking. Say it back the way I say it and then just keep speaking. Some things I really love about being alive on Earth are. Some things I really love about being alive on Earth are. Okay, go. Okay, thank you, partner A. Now, partner B, it's your turn with the same sentence. Some things I really love about being alive on Earth are. Some things I really love about being alive on Earth are. Okay, thank you. Now we're going to move on to the next sentence here, and I'm going to stay with person B. So you're going to speak again, person B. Here's the sentence. A person who helped me believe in myself is or was. A person who helped me believe in myself is or was. Okay, partner B, you go first.
Offline.
Partner B, okay, now partner A, it's your turn with that same sentence. A person who helped me believe in myself is or was.
We were doing
So you also like that. All right, thank you. Thank your partner for that good listening and speaking, and then you can just stay where you are, and we're going to move now on to the next stage of the spiral, which is honoring our pain for the world. So I want to share some words that come from our, we do this acknowledgement and commitment every week in our liturgy. We also do a welcome at the beginning, and I was going to share that, but we got a little short on time. But I want to share one stanza from it. I don't know if everybody's back. Yeah. Oh, they're not back? Oh, thank you. I thought they were going to get back before we were, but okay. Thank you for tracking that. I've never done anything like this.
They're going to be closed in 50 seconds. So
50
give
seconds.
them a minute. Give just a minute. I mean, people can take a deep breath.
Sure.
Oh, good. Got that up.
Back online, thank you. I want to share, I was saying that at our liturgy every week, we begin with a welcome that welcomes everything and everyone. And one of the stanzas that we say, we welcome the ancestors who lived in this land, in this place where these buildings are now, and their descendants who still do, the Huchun village of the Lishan Ohlone people.
Excuse me. You're not using the mic. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
We honor you through this work that we are undertaking. So I just want to call to mind the original people of this land, and I want to share, as we move into honoring our pain for the world, another part of our liturgy that we say each week, knowing that this is our acknowledgement and our commitment, and it's based on the penitential rites. So we say each week, we name that we live in a nation created by enslavement and genocide of peoples, the taking and the destruction of their lands, and the justification of these acts through the Christian doctrine of discovery, white supremacy, the divine right of kings, and manifest destiny. We acknowledge that some of us continue to benefit from this history, while others of us continue to suffer from its injustices, and some of us experience both. Through grace and humility, we invite healing as we ask forgiveness for what we and our ancestors have done and failed to do. And with their help, we commit ourselves to transform rather than transmit the trauma. So as we move into honoring our pain for the world, again, I just want to remind us that the feelings that are flowing through us are actually the way we know that we're alive and not separate from all of creation, whether it's our family members who are suffering, our neighbors, people across the planet. We know about these things now in ways that we have never been able to know before. And it can feel so overwhelming because we're just able to do what we're able to do, but we can let the pain and the grief and the outrage move through us. We don't have to let it, we don't have to keep it away, and we don't have to hold it in. We can be like a conduit for it. And when we allow ourselves to just face it, hear ourselves say it, we're going to find that there's a power that comes through us. So I'm going to put you back now into your pairs for another set of open sentences. And just to keep us moving on time, we're going to just do one open sentence this time. So go ahead and have people in Zoom can go back into their chat rooms, and they'll see that there's two sentences, but they can just be put together. When I see what's happening in our society and to the natural world, just put it into one sentence, and then have 3 minutes each. So we're going to shave off a couple minutes here. Okay, so Zoom people, go back in your chat rooms, and then those of us in the room, turn back to your partner, and partner A, you'll go first. And here's your sentence. When I see what's happening in our society, in our natural world, what breaks my heart is, when I see what is happening in society and in our natural world, what breaks my heart is. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, partner A, for speaking your heart about what breaks your heart. And now we're going to have partner B speak. So the sentence is, when I see what's happening in society and to the natural world, what breaks my heart is. Okay, thank you so much, again, both of you for opening your hearts and sharing how they're breaking. Are we back on Zoom? Coming back?
Let's see.
I want to acknowledge that you're just getting a little taste of this work, and you know, to even have space to say, I know I feel just some relief to be able to say some things that I've just been rumbling around inside my head. So I hope you had that experience as well. This work, you know, usually we do it in the weekend, and so then there's like a whole afternoon to be with our pain and other practices that we can do. But I think it's important just to be able to be heard. Right? Wasn't it sweet to get to just speak and have someone witness you and listen? Yeah. Okay.
They're almost gonna be back. Give them a few more seconds. They're not back yet.
They're not back, yeah.
They can, less than 10 seconds. they'll be
Okay.
back. Just hold on. Okay.
Okay, hello.
Are we back? Looks like, yeah. So we're going to move now to seeing with new eyes. I think is everyone back on Zoom?
Yes.
Yes, okay, wonderful. And I'd like to open this part of the spiral by sharing a poem from David Wagner called Lost. Stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here. And you must treat it as a powerful stranger, must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest breathes. Listen. It answers. I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying, here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches are the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. And so as we move back into our dyads now for the next open sentences, I'm going to invite you to imagine yourself as something from the more than human world. We can talk about it as the more than human world with David Abram. And we can know, as Francis sings in the Canticle of Creation, that all of life, whether it's Mother Earth, Sister Moon and stars, Brother Wind, Brother Fire, Brother Sun, all of the created world is kin to us, and we are in relationship with each other in one ecosystem. And what happens to one part of that ecosystem happens to the whole. And certainly we have learned this lesson through some pretty painful things. For example, the nuclear reactor meltdowns in Fukushima. And I just was hearing on the news where they've asked permission to release more radioactive water, like I can't even remember how much, but a lot, into the ocean. And so we know that when that happens into the ocean, that doesn't just stay there, but we are impacted. So we know that we live in an interconnected world, and we want to connect now with that more deeply, so we can think of ourselves not as that's nature out there, but what is our ecological self, if you will. And so I want to invite you first to the first sentence here is going to be to invite you to imagine yourself as another life form, and to speak on behalf of that life form. So if it were me, I would be a redwood tree. And so I'm going to invite you to just think of what that would be, and then you're going to speak on behalf of that species. So let's get back into our pairs, and I will guide you again. The people on Zoom will do partners. Partner A will go first with the 2 sentences, and then partner B. Okay, are you back with your pairs? Send people off to Zoom. We're supposed to stop at 10:45, aren't we, for break?
We are, if we could just do this one
Okay.
shorter and then take a break.
Okay, we'll just do one sentence here, and then we'll have our break. Okay, here is this, what were you asking me to do?
90 seconds before you want to end, please can you bring down so they'll know, otherwise
she doesn't know to call them back in rooms, and she can't call them back instantaneously. It takes her 90 seconds.
Okay, I don't think I'm able to track that from someone
Just
else.
tell her.
It's
I
wired.
don't know when you're gonna get.
Well, they were, okay, I need help.
How much time do you need?
Literally, my brain isn't gonna be able to, 2 minutes, we're gonna have 2 minutes each, 4 minutes, we're gonna have 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
So-
So they can.
But every time I said, I'll need to ring the bell.
Yeah,
Set the timer on my phone. Without it.
Yeah,
Also the timer for 5.
Okay.
Before.
2.5 minutes, because she has to know 90 seconds before. Somebody has to ring a bell for her.
have they gone into their rooms?
Yes.
Okay, great, let's, then
You're
let's
gonna
get,
do it, Ellen?
let's get started here.
Okay.
All right, partner A, if I could inhabit another species, I would be. Partner A, if I could inhabit another species, I would be. Okay, partner B, it's your turn with that same sentence. If I could inhabit another species, I would be. Okay, it's 90 seconds. Okay, once again, thank your partner.
Not quite back yet, but coming back soon.
And well, we can just go ahead and have a break here with those who are in the room. So go ahead and take a break. We'll come back at 11 o'clock.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for us to move forward. I know we have so much to talk about, but my sense of this morning is that we need more spaciousness in our time, because not only is women and finally coming together again, but this work that Anne is leading us in this morning, it is deeply evocative. It prompts our conversation. It's prompting our deep reflection within. So thank you. Thank you. It looks like we have our Zoom audience. Are you back, Karen?
Just checking to see if they can hear okay. Can everybody hear okay? Nod your head if you can hear.
Yes, we are back.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So we are now moving into another 20-minute section where Anne will be, I think, going forth. Yes, so we're on our fourth altar of the spiral, and Anne, I'm just going to let you take it away.
Thank you so much. Welcome back. Again, just feeling so grateful for this opportunity to be with you, and as we move now into going forth, I want to tell a little story that comes from the life of Francis of Assisi. Our community is named Canticle Farms, and we take our inspiration from Canticle creation. And I love thinking about how Joanna Macy meets Francis of Assisi, because a great example of gratitude doesn't depend on external circumstances is the time in his life when Francis actually wrote the Canticle of Creation. So he was losing his sight, and he had the stigmata, so these wounds, and being born on the Feast of Stigmata. It wasn't until I went to Assisi and actually saw the shoes that Claire made for him with the blood stains that it kind of got into my head. Oh, these were bleeding and painful wounds. So he's got these wounds, and he's pretty much on the margins of the community that's grown up to follow him. So it's at this moment that he sings a song of gratitude and praise. So you see, gratitude does not depend on external circumstances. And then at the end of his life, when he lay dying and he asked to be laid on the ground naked, and he was there with his closest followers, and of all of the things he could have said to them, because of course we know Francis renounced his wealth and was a great lover of the poor and those on the margins. So he could have said, remember, Lady Poverty, remember to place yourself on the edge. Or he could have said, be peacemakers. He could have exhorted them to continue to be peacemakers because he was a great peacemaker. Or he could have reminded them that they are kin with all of the created world. But he didn't do any of that. What he did say to his friends, his dear friends, was, I have done that which was mine to do. May Christ teach you yours. I have done that which was mine to do. May Christ teach you yours. And my husband, who studied at the Franciscan School of Theology and was in the Santa Barbara province for a while, was the one who brought this story to my attention. Growing up as a Franciscan, I didn't know this story. And I wish I had known it sooner, because it actually is so helpful when you have an open heart and you're in a suffering world and you just feel overwhelmed and you want to do everything. I love this story because we can't do everything, but we're not supposed to. We're supposed to do what is ours to do. And another one of our teachers who influences our work at Canticle Farm, his name is Bill Plotkin, and he's a depth psychologist and a wilderness guide. And he talks about our soul, that we're here to do our soul work. And he calls our soul our niche. It's our particular place. Mary Oliver talks about our particular place in a family of things. So here's where Francis of Assisi meets Bill Plotkin. What is yours to do? What is your soul work? Because if you don't do it, it won't get done. Each of us has something that we came here to do that is ours to do. And since we didn't get born with operating instructions, we're needing to always be in discernment about what that is. And that can change with different times and stages of our lives and the circumstances in which we find ourselves in our planet time. So in this particular moment in the history of our planet and in what's going on in our country, there's something for each of us to do. And Laudato Si calls that forth from us. So we're going to just have a few moments here to have another pairing with open sentences. You may be already very clear about what it is that is yours to do. You may be searching and seeking. And again, I want to remind us that even in the darkest night when we don't know and we can't see the way, all we ever have to do is take the next step and start close in. And I'm going to share a poem before I send you off that reminds us. This is a David White poem. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way of starting the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To find another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes a private ear listening to another. Start right now. Take a small step you can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humbled and focused. Start close in. Don't mistake that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take. Okay, let's get back in our pairs and we will send our Zoom friends off into their pairs with the 2 sentences in the chat. And back closer to each other, we're going to have another open sentence exchange.
How many minutes?
This is going to be, let's look at my, what time is it right now? We'll do 1 sentence. We're going to do, for those in the Zoom chat, we're going to do the first sentence, just the first sentence. So it'll be 4 minutes total, 2 minutes each.
Okay, so we need a warning at 2 minutes.
Okay, I will give the warning at 2 minutes. I've figured out how to do it. Okay.
A date will be good.
Yes, a date. Okay. Okay, here we go. Partner A speaking to partner B. Here's your sentence. Something that is mine to do for Earth is. Something that is mine to do for Earth is. Okay, partner A. Okay, thank you, partner A. Partner B, now it's your turn with that same sentence. Something that is mine to do for Earth is. Something that is mine to do for Earth is. Two minutes for Zoom. Okay, this is your last time with your partner, so just go ahead and thank your partner for this time you've had today to get to know each other in a very different way, probably from before. Yes, I love the bowing. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay.
Almost there.
I'm very thrilled to say it's 11:20, which is, I'm right on time. So as people are coming back in, thank you, people on Zoom. I hope that you enjoyed your time in your chat rooms. My understanding that now is time for questions and answers, and I wanted to say a little bit about my community to give you an idea of what Canticle Farm is. We live in the Fruit Vale of Oakland, in 8 houses across 2 streets connected by a large garden. And our houses are named after the stanzas of the Canticle of Creation. We also have a space called Sister Death, because Francis says those who have died the first death, the second can do them no harm. So it's our space on the land that we actually dug. We were going to have it be like an underworld journey space, kind of a heathen kind of a space. And then when we started digging, water came. And so then once the water came, we started having frogs. And we didn't realize we hadn't heard frogs in a long time until suddenly we stumbled into riparian habitat repair. So stumbling into things is kind of a way things do happen at Canticle Farm. One of the framings of Joanna Macy's work, she's a Buddhist scholar and a scholar of living systems theory. And so as I was taking in the living systems theory, over time working with her, following her around and doing workshops with her, it kind of came into my body in a way that allowed me to get very spacious about emergent properties. So Joanna will tell us, when hydrogen dances with oxygen, we could never have imagined that water would emerge. And so we call these things Canticle Farm moments. There's constantly things emerging that we never could have planned or predicted. And I agree with Joanna. She says that that for her, emergence stands in for hope. Because in this time living on this planet, we don't know what's going to happen. And certainly as people of faith, we're going to keep on keeping on and doing what we're here to do, no matter what the outcome is. But we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when all of our light comes together, when all of our actions on behalf of life come together, what we can still create and what can emerge. So I started, it's actually 40 years on June 1st that I moved into this little house in the backyard because I was burnt out from the Catholic worker and I was going to live alone. Ha ha ha. I didn't really ever do that very long. Threw myself into the next thing. I'm a raving extrovert. But this property on 36th Avenue is a deep lot. There were 2 deep lots with these 4 houses. And it was certainly not in my mind that we were going to expand on Harrington Avenue. But about 12 years ago, I saw a house for sale directly behind ours. And I heard a voice that was not my own that said, this house wants to be in service. And long and short of it is, after many years of fixing it up, and for about the last 7 years, it's been dedicated to supporting men paroled from life sentences. It's been a great gift to live in community with these men who are out doing restorative justice work in the world. And the most recent men who joined the community 2 years ago both spent decades in solitary confinement, one of them 33 years. They were both part of the plaintiffs in the hunger strike, you might remember from a few years back at Pelican Bay, that stopped the indeterminate use of solitary confinement. And I think they have so much to teach me about resilience, really, that one of them, how he survived that, was to get up every morning and imagine his life. And I think that's a great tool for us, because as we're trying to figure out how are we going to get through this crisis that we face as a people on this planet, we have to be able to imagine into a future. So anyway, once we had one house on Harrington, lo and behold, we started being able to rent and then purchase last year 2 other houses. And one of them we partnered with the Dorothy Land Trust. This is where this mask came from. That says rematriate the land. So how many of you have heard of the Dorothy Land Trust? Cool, great. So this is a women founded and led land trust here in the Bay Area. that is working to rematriate land, and they're not federally, the Ohlone people are not a federally recognized tribe. I just heard that actually the University of California is giving free tuition to anybody from a federally recognized tribe, but that will not include the people of indigenous to this land. So we partnered with Segorite, and some members of that community moved in last year, a family, and on the 1-year anniversary of them joining our community, we gave them the house, becoming the first time anybody's ever given Segorite a house. And that felt like, especially as someone deep in the Franciscan tradition, that was very meaningful and moving to me, because the story that I got of the mission system is not the story that the people indigenous tell. It's a very different version of that experience. So we keep getting opportunities to come back and make that commitment that I shared with you, that we together, we want to partner to transform rather than transmit the trauma. In another one of our houses, we support a small program for people seeking asylum in the United States. And right now we have a family with 2 kids and a single man who are in that program. We also have a food distribution program once a week in the neighborhood that is run by the neighbors themselves as well, in partnership with us. And we make herbal medicine and have an apothecary that we share with the people in the neighborhood. So those are sort of the program. We also support young climate change activists in one of our houses. And I would say the thing that has emerged that has been the most precious and meaningful to me is that we are 40 people working, to heal across the differences that are really so powerfully dividing us in this country right now. So our community is intergenerational and interracial and intergender and interspiritual, and committed to nonviolence. So we're working, I say, at the intersection of faith-based, social justice-based, and earth-based nonviolent activism. And even that I have to talk about them as 3 separate things shows the brokenness, right? Like, what does it look like if we're standing in the place of those 3 things layered, and we're acting on behalf of life from that place where our faith calls us to justice that includes the planet. So that's a little bit about Canticle Farm. And we also have, we were gifted the Catholic Worker Farm in the foothills of the Sierra. So we have 100 acres that's up in Sierra Miwok territory, where we're working to restore and build relationships with indigenous people, and also remember the practices that tended the forest, because it's right in the middle of places where there's been terrible fires and over 200 dead trees and things like that we're having to figure out how to tend as we bring animals and plants back to that place. Okay, any questions? Pardon me, can one visit? Absolutely. We're very happy to have visitors. You're welcome if you'd ever like to come to our liturgy, which is on Sunday morning from 9 to 10. And COVID flung us outside, and we can't imagine ever going back in. It's really been amazing to be outside for our liturgy. And our liturgy is our own creation based on the Eucharistic tradition of the loaves and fishes. So we wrestle with the gospel every week. We have poetry, and we start with the welcome, who I mentioned. We do that penitential act of commitment, and then we have sharing around the gospel, and then we have what we call an eating practice, where we share bread together. And we're outside in the backyard of 1969 Harrington Avenue, and you're always welcome. And we have garden work days every Sunday, and you can come by. You can come by for liturgy, stay after, or you can just email me if you wanted just to come visit. Happy to show you around. We're always outside with everything we do, so you're very welcome.
Somebody online asks how they can get in touch with the farm, and I just put the website up there.
Sure, yeah.
Oakland.org, is that
Yeah,
right?
that's the website, and the email that I answer is canticlefarmers@gmail.com. canticlefarmers@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. Our podcast has to go, but this was really blessing.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Yeah, so my question is, with your community of 40 people, how do you integrate this process into your discernment, into your community? Because potentially you could have 8 silos, or how many other homes you have, right? You have 8 houses over this area, with all these projects going on that have significance to each and every person, I'm sure, who lives there. How do you, so I'm thinking of taking your example, of your system, so to speak, right? And
The spiral?
and how does the spiral feed into your activity?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah, I have a little bracelet that's made out of a recycled bicycle spoke that was given to me in North Carolina when I was at a 10-day intensive with Joanna many years ago. So it's on my wrist. The spiral is kind of everywhere. It's just sort of part of the way that I see the world. So I have a discipline now that if something is painful, most of the time I can remember, oh, step back and find some way to be in gratitude so that I can be with the pain. So it's there, present. We often will, if we have meetings, we will move around the spiral. If we have a restorative circles room where we deal with our conflicts. When I'm facilitating in there, helping people mediate, I will always start with gratitude. And Sister Death that I mentioned to you that's there on the land, we actually have the spiral of the work reconnects around it. And it's done through, so you walk through the first part of it, that's where these poppies are. They're like 8 feet tall right now. So you're in this thing's just full of things blooming. And then when you get up to honoring our pain, there's like cactus and prickly things. And then then you walk and you go through another part of it and into seeing new eyes. There's food growing kind of plants there. And then you get to the opening of Sister Death. And we're actually still working on this. There's gonna be a bell there, a chime. So it's like, what is my song to sing? What is mine to do? So that's there as a place on the land where people can go and be in that spiral. On Good Friday, we did a ritual in there where I brought people through the spiral, and then we did a Greek ritual when we were in there. So it's kind of the backdrop, and we try to bring it into everything that we're doing. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Wait, can you use the microphone so that people on Zoom can hear you?
Oh, good idea.
I just wanted to request that you share your poetry with us. I love all those poets, and I'm not familiar with those particular ones. So
I'm happy to do that.
And I guess more of a personal question is: Have you worked with Planting Justice?
Yes.
Okay, I'm curious. My niece worked there for years.
Yes. Who's your niece?
Nicole Wires.
Okay, great. Yes. Planting Justice. Actually, Gavin, who founded Planting Justice, was when I bought Sister Water, and I actually came to see this as my own little Franciscan story, because remember the story of Francis in front of the San Damiano cross, and one version is that he heard the cross speaking to him, but in the earliest writings, actually he heard a voice in his own head, go rebuild my church. And we always joke about it because we thought, oh, silly Francis, he started putting stone upon stone instead of going and reforming the church. But, Francis was just a guy. So why would he have thought he was supposed to go reform the church? He just started close in and did the next thing, which was, I'm supposed to fix this church up. And I had my own kind of experience of that because I heard a voice in my head when I saw that house for sale. This house wants to be in service. And I thought, what does that mean? And I knew it had something to do with there are 3 gangs in my neighborhood. I want to put it in quotes because for me, this is young people whose energy could be redirected, the needs that are being met for community and belonging to be redirected to be on behalf of life. So I had a very strong sense this house is supposed to do something to address that and support that process, but I didn't have a clue what to do or how that was going to happen. So I started fixing the house, which needed a lot of work. So Francis was using bricks and I was using paint, but along the way, I just said, well, I don't know what to do. And people were asking, now what are you gonna do? And then Gavin came over, he was a friend of mine, and he was, they were one of 5 organizations that was working with people who were formerly incarcerated. And they had this full service program, but they needed housing. And so, oh, maybe this house could help with that. So that was how we actually got into serving formerly incarcerated, was through a partnership with Planning Justice. And then at least 2 people that I can think of right now who've been in our community have worked with Planting Justice. So for those of you who don't know Planting Justice, Gavin started this permaculture organization, and he's kind of doing it Robin Hood style. If you could pay for it, he charged you, but if you couldn't, he was giving it away for free. And then he started teaching permaculture out at San Quentin. And then he started hiring people who were getting out of jail to be on the staff. And so now it's this huge organization, and they're doing amazing work with permaculture and people who are formerly incarcerated. They have a farm in El Cerrito, and yeah, so definitely love Gavin. Yes. Okay, I think we're getting to the point where we have to close here.
We have a couple more minutes.
I have a couple more minutes.
I'm wondering if anyone on the Zoom may have questions.
Anybody online have a question? Can you ask them that, because you have the microphone?
Does anyone on the Zoom have a question?
You could say, if you do, unmute yourself and ask.
If you do, unmute yourself and ask. Thank you. It's a whole other world on the Zoom.
Right. Thank you for putting up with the hybrid.
Yeah.
Anybody? No?
Okay.
Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it. Yeah, and I want to thank you again. I know it's a particular challenge to be zooming in when something's happening live and you haven't been able to. I'm looking over there. See, I don't know. Anyway, I'm happy you've been able to be part of this, and I hope it's contributed. Yes.
Is there a time, a good time or day?
Wait a second. Microphone.
Is there a time or a time of the day or a day when any of us could come and participate in some activity, work or with you, to show us what it's like to be part of inaction of what we say we want to be?
I would be happy to have somebody reach out and coordinate that. You know, you could come to liturgy or come on another day that works for you. So can I leave that with you, Gina, and Alan, maybe to follow up? Yeah, I could give you a tour and you could meet some of the people who live there. Okay, Jean.
Okay, yeah, that's a question. So you talk phobias.
And in other times, you have done a lot of civil disobedience, and then you talked about, or at least what I read, you had a feeling like, oh, but no one's paying attention to how I'm feeling. So Joanna Macy helped you understand to hold what you're feeling, which is what you're sharing with us. What about your relation with the institutional church? How are you dealing with that, Anne, and how are you being church? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a big question, Jean. I would say I would have to come here and just do a lot of grieving. I was actually at a funeral a couple months ago, and the priest, not only did he do that thing that they do now about who gets to come to communion, which breaks my heart every time I hear it. He actually said that you could only come if you were a Catholic in good standing. And so I had the first experience of my life of deciding not to go to communion. I was so upset. I thought, well, by his standard, because I don't go to mass every Sunday, he would consider me not a Catholic, not in good standing. And I needed to kind of have that experience. My uncle who's a priest and my cousins and everybody, oh, I should have just gone, the sacrament still belongs to you. But I felt like I needed to stand in solidarity with all those who were being refused the Eucharist of all things. And then about 2 weeks ago, I went to another funeral and I was bracing myself for how it was going to get said. And this priest, whose name's gone out of my head, he's in the Diocese of Oakland, he didn't say a word. He walked right down from the altar and just started giving out communion. And I went up to him afterward and I said, you are my hero. Because I can't remember the last time I've been to church where that happened. Everybody was just could come to the table. So that sort of says a little bit about my relationship to the institutional church. I have a lot of grief because I love the church and I grew up in this bubble in St. Elizabeth in this Franciscan parish that was social justice based, and it was my community, my whole world, you know, was the church, and it set me off to the Catholic worker, and it formed and shaped me, and I thought that was the church, you know, that was the church that I knew, and then to find so many people that have been hurt and harmed by the church. So it's my church too. It's like saying I don't have blue eyes, you know, I'm a Catholic through and through. I always will be. And I wanna both be with my grief and my gratitude, because I also know the church is us, you know, and it's all blessed and broken. And I see the blessing that comes through the brokenness and the brokenness that comes through the blessing. So we're in a moment where we gotta stand strong for what the gospel really is about, I'd say. And sadly, our church has become a single focus, single issue church that allows people to consider themselves Catholics in good standing while supporting policies and politicians who would separate babies from their mothers at the border. And to me, that's not the gospel or the church that I want to follow. Yeah.
Thank you for that question and answer. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah, because we're in the present time, and we need to hear that.
Yeah. So don't give up. Yeah, don't give up. Okay, so we're going to close now. Again, I just want to offer my thanks. I want to offer my gratitude to St. Francis and to St. Clair, and my gratitude to Joanna Macy. She's 93. She's turned 93. I still work with her, still get to be inspired by her, and she has a new edition of one of her books coming out next month called Active Hope. It was called Active Hope: How to Face the Mess We're In Without Going Crazy. And now it's called Active Hope: How to Face the Mess We're In with Resilience and Creative Power, or something like that. It was a wild experience with the publisher, trying to update that. And I can't remember what it ended up being, but if you're interested in knowing more about her work, that book actually there's like a chapter, and then there's experiential practices. So it's a great book to form a group, and you can read it together, kind of thing. So we're going to close the way that we began, and wherever you are right now, I just want to invite you to come back up to the altars and pick up your candle, and you might want to move around a little bit with it, and you might put it right back where you had it when you started, or you might find that you've moved it to some other place. Wherever you are is a beautiful place to be, and it also encapsulates the whole. And while you're doing that, I'm going to just sing the song that I started off with, the second part of that, and I invite you just to join in with me as you pick it up. So the words are: let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. So as you're ready, go ahead and come up. Let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. Let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. Let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. Let it begin with each step we take, and let it begin with each change we make. Let it begin with each chain we break, and let it begin every time we awake. And I'm going to close with some words of Claire. We can't talk about Francis without talking about Claire, right, G?
Yeah, and Francis wrote the canticle in Claire's garden, tended by the women. Out of which the song came.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding us of that. So here's an excerpt from a letter of Claire Macy to Agnes of Prague as we go forth from this day. Whatsoever you hold, may you always hold. Whatsoever you do, may you always do and never abandon. But with swift pace, light step, and unswerving feet, so that not even your steps raise any dust. Go forward confidently, joyfully, and swiftly on the path of prudent happiness, believing nothing, agreeing with nothing that would dissuade you from this purpose, or put a stumbling stone in your path, so that you might offer your vows to the Most High and attain that perfection to which you have been called by the Spirit of the Lord. Amen. Amen. So.